Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Myth-Busting Locksmith. Now, today we are looking at one of the most common issues that I'm coming across with new builds. Now, when Bob the Builder comes in and he builds your building, what you should be doing is getting your facilities or maintenance team to go around and check and inspect every single detail of every part of the building. But Bob the Builder is a sneaky bastard. And what I'm finding is he's being lazy and sloppy, and he is missing a crucial part that is not being checked. And as I've now arrived at my fourth new build building, it is something that I am finding and highlighting and charging an awful lot of money to rectify, which if done properly, it would have saved you money. So, as my daughter says, if you know this already, trust the process, but this is something to look out for if you are one of those people checking to see Bob the Builder has done his work. Now, as you can see before you, we have a handle fitted to a door, and that we will come back to. Now, when you order a pair of handles, you get a pair of handles, you get a pair of roses, you get 2 long screws with little thimbles that screw on the end, and you get 8 of these small screws, 2 grub screws, and an Allen key, and a spindle. It is very, very simple. This is the kit you get, and this is the kit you should be using to make something like this on a door. Now, without stating the obvious, but you'll see why we're doing this, you will notice 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. These correspond to 1, 2, and 3 and 4 holes. Both the handles are the same, but they are spring-loaded. So this one goes down and stops here. So this would be this side, latch going that way. This, of course, goes on the opposite side of the door and will go down, and the latch is pointing this way. Now, if you are setting this up properly, which is the way it should be done, you will start off with your door and you will have 6 holes, 3 here, 3 here. You will get your spindle once you've drilled all the holes in the right places, and you will put your spindle through the door. Let's just do this, right. You'll put your spindle through the door like so. You will then get these 4 screws here and put them here and here, here and here, so that these will effectively hold this metal tight in place so that when you pull the handle down, the metal does not move. This metal rose, which is obviously spring-loaded and attached, will stay in place because it is held firm. These 2 screws here, are designed to go in this side and this side, and then when they go through the door, which I haven't drilled holes there today, the other handle comes along and they go in like this. So of course you now have the door where there is a gap here. Then the idea is you get these and you screw them onto the other end, securing these to the other side. So when you're pulling this handle to open the door this way, of course it is pulling, the screws are attached, the screws are getting pulled this way, and because you have put little thimbles on the end, as you pull this door this way, this of course follows, because the screw goes through here with the head here, so it can't go any further. The door is here, this is here, and because it's attached this side, they're basically clamped like that with the door between. You pull this, it pulls that one. So that stops you ripping the handle off the door. The thing that stops this getting damaged is the fact that you have 4 screws attached to the door on the block. So it is solid, or the block. This is my demonstration door. So it is solid. What I'm finding is Bob the Builder is coming along and he's putting these 2 long screws in, but he's not bothering with these 8 because of course it would take too much time to drill 8 holes, and it would take money because you have to use the 8 screws. But as we've covered in the kit, you get the handles, you get the screws. So he's being cheap and he's keeping the screws. Now, when you get your facilities man coming along and he wants to check the door, what he sees is this. And he goes, oh look, this looks nicely fitted on the door, this would be pushed on properly, nice job, well done, goodbye. What he's not doing is he's not taking the escutcheons off to find if all of these screws are in place. Bob hasn't put these screws in place. Bob is a lazy bastard and has left them off. And when he puts this on, instead of just popping this on, because on here there'll be a little indent and on here there'll be a little notch so that it'll fit on quite nicely, and if it's attached to a door, a screwdriver would pop it off very easily. What Bob is doing is he's applying cement to the inside of this, so when it goes on here, it cements in and you cannot get it off. And when I say you cannot get it off, I have dug holes in doors before I worked out a way of creating a metal plate to go round here to protect the door, getting a screwdriver with full force, digging into the door to try and get these things off because they have been stuck with ceramic cement. Now, the trouble with that is, if it's not done properly, and the other thing I mentioned we'll come back to the spindle, if it's not done properly, what you end up with is a black screen. Stand by. What you end up with is that. Some idiots come along, and I'm also finding that the handles are being put where there should be push plates, so not only are they pulling on doors they should be pushing, but because the screws are missing, they are ripping the handles off the door. And this is a photo I took of a job I had to do. Now, spindle. You can see the 4 screw holes have been drilled. You can see where the 4 screws went in because the lock behind has holes in for the screws to go through. But this is the handle. They ripped it off this door. The other problem, of course, that we were going to address later, but I'll do it now, is if you put a push plate on a door where you push and a handle where you pull, everything works. You put a handle, because they come in a pair, on a door where you should be pushing it, people instinctively are going to pull the handle. And that, combined with screws missing, you're going to end up ripping it off, but also a very wobbly, broken handle where the spring has completely failed. So, you get broken handles that need replacing because that's all wobbly. These, of course, solid and spring-loaded. You get great big holes in your door that we're going to address shortly. And the other thing you get is you get broken spindles because the spindle is not strong enough for the force of this handle. If this went normally, it would be fine, but it cannot take the force of the handle when this part is not secured. So you've got all of this handle applying all the pressure on this rose, which is ripping round in the wrong place. It is putting too much pressure on the spindle and it will snap like this. That is part of the problem. The other problem is when you hire me to come along and go, fix our hole, I have to go out to somewhere like Amazon. I have to find little wooden discs like this. They're thin, they're very strong, they're smooth, they're very well made. I then have to, as in demonstrated here with the 6 holes, I have to mark the holes and I have to drill the little holes in here and I have to make a hole in here. And then I have to match them either with white paint or grey paint. In the building I'm in, it's grey paint and there's about 10 different shades, so I've had to match the right colour greys for the right colour door. This takes time. What also takes time is the fact that I then have to get my spindle, I have to put it in my handle, I have drilled a round hole for a square peg. So what I've done, and a technique that you might want to pay attention to, is I put the spindle in like this, so I'm putting a square peg in a round hole. I've done this already so it went in smoothly, and I'm twisting the wood round like this with the handle round. So what it does is it slightly widens and it softens the edge, so the spindle will fit in perfectly. It will twist round when you're opening a door with no resistance, but of course there is no movement up, down, left, right because it is absolutely perfectly fitted and it is a very neat job. Here it is on the door, as you can see, spindle, screw holes, which are these long screws here that will go through the door out the other side, so when you're pulling the handle and it pulls the screw, it is literally pulling the door from the other side. And here are the other holes here. And here is your finished job. Now, for me to find the time to find the discs, to paint them white or grey, to buy new handles, to check the parts are there, to put the handles on, to screw them in with all the correct screws, like this, and put the roses on top, nice and neat, so they can be put in place with the indent and the little notch that is designed on the handle on the rose. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. It takes a lot of money because I charge about £90 an hour. You're looking at about £35 to £40 for a pair of handles. You're looking at a £130 bill to go from this to this to this. So, what I would say to all you facilities people, you maintenance people, you security people, and people coming in checking snagging lists, make sure these things are done correctly. And when you come along and see handles, it looks all very nice I don't want to get this jammed on, but it all looks very nice when it's finished like this, and it's stuck to your door like this, and you go, yes, that looks lovely, good job. Pop this off, flick it round, check for screws, because if it doesn't look like this, it's gonna look like this. And from this, I have to do this to make it look like this. And that is going to cost you another £130 per door with handles. And when you have over 150 doors in the building, and one by one they're getting ripped to pieces, it's going to add up to a lot of money. The other thing I would say is, if you've got a push door, put a push plate so they can push the door open, because people are stupid. They are absolute idiots, they have no clue. If they see a handle, because you get a nice pair of handles on a door, if you get a handle and it's a push door, they're instinctively going to go eek and pull the handle open. And it's going to, of course, not open the door. It's going to damage the handle. So you end up with no spring, you end up with wibbly wobbly, broken handle, you end up with a broken spindle, which is great because I will saw this off and use it as a half size where appropriate. And you're just going to end up forking out endless money on pointless tasks to get somebody to replace the handles with all the parts and fix it. When in the first place, when you opened your kit, and I opened this especially for this video, you got a pair of handles, a pair of escutcheons, a spindle, 8 small screws for going into the 8 holes for this, for this side and for the other handle, the 2 long ones, the 2 covers, and that is it. So everything's in your kit. There's no excuse whatsoever. Bob the Builder is being lazy. You need to check your work properly. You need to do your snagging list and make sure this is being done, because otherwise I will be coming to your building, I'll be replacing and repairing, I'll be doing little things like this which I think are a little bit fancy, and I'll be charging an awful lot of money. So buy cheap, buy twice. And if you're having a building made, check it properly. Check they're using all the equipment they're supplied. Make sure that everything is in place, because at the end of the day, a little box like this for about 80 screws costs £5. If I'm doing this job, I'm charging you £5 for that box of screws. Okay, I'm building up a backlog, but you're getting charged for a pair of handles even if you need one. You're getting charged for a box of screws even if I need 8, because at the end of the day, it's time, it's money, it's effort. You can't buy single handles, you can't buy 1 or 2 screws, you might be able to buy the spindles, but I'm running a business. I'm making stuff from that to this to this. It takes time, it takes money, and it takes my effort, all for the sake of checking. Because when you're going through your snagging list, if you see that is not done properly, that's what you're going to end up with, and that is why you call Bob the Builder back and say, Bob, there's your door, drill your holes, make your hole, fit your handle, screw them all in, do it properly, or don't come back. So there we are. I've tried to keep it short. I hope you found this interesting. I hope I've highlighted some little points that you might not have been aware of. I hope showing you these things has made it more interesting for you with the videos, because I'm trying to make this more sort of interactive for you, just so you can see what you get with your kit, what the problems are, what it looks like when it's damaged and broken, and what you're up against. So any questions and queries, please do leave them. I do like all comments and queries. Keep it professional, keep it nice, because anything rude or negative or insulting will be removed. It's unnecessary, because everyone has a skill, and everyone has a skill that somebody else doesn't have. We all have to start somewhere. I've only been doing this 3 years, but I have done 11 courses training as a locksmith. So keep it neat, keep it real. Be nice with your comments. Please ask questions. Do subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you like, because I'm trying to get more interactive, more customer friendly with, you know, equipment and whatnot, and just trying to make it interesting. So thanks for watching. Catch you at the next one.